Let's talk starting pitcher adds and drops. Up next on Fantasy Baseball Today in 5. Welcome into FBT in 5 on Wednesday, May 15th. I am Frank Stampfl, joined by Scott White, and 3 waiver wire pitchers could be out there in some shallower leagues. Gavin Stone turned in a quality start at the Giants, 6 innings, 1 run, 3 walks to 2 strikeouts, but had 11 swinging strikes in this one. He has now turned in 4 straight quality starts. Reese Olson was awesome up against the Marlins, 8 shutout innings, 3 hits, 0 walks, 6 strikeouts. With 13 swinging strikes, he's down to a 2.09 ERA and a 1.01 whip. And Erick Fedde was dominant against the Nationals, where he threw 7 shutout with 6 strikeouts to 0 walks. He is down to a 2.60 ERA and a 1.06 whip as well. Scott, how are you ranking Fedde, Olson, and Gavin Stone?
I think Olson's the clear number 1 here, and it's kind of hard to know what part of his stat line to stress the most, because he doesn't have a win yet. He's had horrible run support, and 8 shutout innings wasn't enough to get him a win here. And that's why I think he's only 60% rostered, because of course he has the 2.09 ERA. And the 2.09 ERA obviously isn't sustainable. So in another world where Reese Olson had a bunch of wins and was rostered everywhere, I could see making a sell high case for him. But when we're having trouble just getting him on rosters to begin with, I kind of want to focus on the good stuff. And in addition to that low ERA, which of course is going to regress some, Reese Olson has a very high whiff rate on both his slider and his changeup, which he's throwing more and more. He's throwing the fastball less. He also has a 55% ground ball rate. So that helps to prevent home runs. And yeah, I think he's going to have a good ERA, and hopefully a good ERA will translate to more wins moving forward and a better overall outcome for Reese Olson. Second on this list, I'm going to go Fedde over Gavin Stone, but it's a closer call than you might think. 1, because of the team context. White Sox are terrible. Dodgers are amazing. That's going to affect both pitchers in a significant way, because I think at their core, Fedde and Stone both are pretty middling. Streamer-like is what I'd call them. Fedde obviously has better numbers than that so far, a 2.60 ERA, a 1.06 whip, but the ERA estimators are all mid to high 3s. He doesn't have an especially high ground ball rate or strikeout rate. His swinging strike rate is pretty horrible. He's throwing a lot of cutters. Not like the contact is especially weak. There's not like one thing Fedde is doing especially well that would lead me to believe he could sustain anywhere close to a 2.60 ERA. Meanwhile, Gavin Stone, he broke out this slider in this most recent start, threw it 21% of the time, about as much as usual. And it actually has a better whiff rate than his changeup, which we know Stone has a good changeup. Does he have anything else? Maybe if he mixes in this slider more like he did in Tuesday's start, then we'll start to see him have more success.
Would you drop either of these pitchers to add the names we just spoke about? First up is Reid Detmers, who is 76% rostered. Another rough start, 5 innings, 5 runs, 4 of those were earned. And over his last 5 outings, it is a 8.46 ERA and a 1.66 whip. Would you drop Detmers for any of the 3 we just mentioned?
Well, not Fedde or Stone. I think Reid Detmers is still the most talented pitcher of all of these. I mean, you just look at how many swinging strikes he gets, and that basically sums it up. He is going through a rough stretch here, and it's been a long enough rough stretch that you can't trust to put him in your lineup right now. And so I think if it's a situation where you need to pick up somebody that you can trust in your lineup, then maybe I would consider dropping Reid Detmers for Reese Olson. But that's the only one of these 3 that I would drop him for. And only, again, in a situation where you're struggling to fill out your lineup. If it's just to stash upside on your bench, I'd rather stick with Detmers.
What about Aaron Civale, who was at the Red Sox? He allowed 3 runs over 5 innings, did have 6 strikeouts to 0 walks in this one. Over his last 5 starts, 8.87 ERA, 1.71 whip. Are you dropping Civale for any of Fedde, Olson, or Gavin Stone?
Yeah, I'd drop Civale for any one of them. I think in the long run, Erick, Fedde, Aaron Civale, that the outcome there will probably be similar, but obviously Fedde's the one performing now and Civale isn't. So that's a pretty easy swap to make if you're able to make it.
All right, for more extensive fantasy baseball coverage, listen to the Fantasy Baseball Today podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, the Odyssey app, or anywhere else podcasts are found. Thanks for listening to Fantasy Baseball Today in 5, and we will be back again tomorrow. Bye-bye.